Okay, so I have had this pen for at least 2 years now, and I've never talked about it because I've always been curious to know if this is legit or not, and also embarrassed because it was one of those new to the world of vintage fountain pen mistakes, and actually maybe it's good to share because these things happen. So I bought this pen on Etsy. Like I said, I think it was about 2 years ago from a seller in the Ukraine. And she had listed this as a vintage Montblanc from the 1960s. Knowing the reputation of the Montblanc, I started questioning the purchase, and it's not like it was cheap, although it wasn't what a new Montblanc would go for, and I honestly don't know the price that vintage Montblancs go for because it's just not a pen I've ever done a lot of research on. So shortly after receiving this, I had this like weird sinking feeling that, oh my goodness, what if this is a fake? But I've never been able to really like figure it out. So I'm hoping somebody out there who's watching this can tell me. So, like I said, they had mentioned this was a Montblanc from the 1960s. It is a European version. It has written on the nib 14C for carat. The nib number is 585. The nib looks legit to me. I always assumed this looked like a plastic feed, and I was like, I don't know if that makes sense with the times that this pen was supposed to be produced. Shouldn't it have been ebonite? But looking at it under the jeweler's loupe, however, it looks really porous. So then I was like, maybe it is an ebonite feed. I can't tell. I'm questioning everything. One of the things that I read about in how to determine whether your Montblanc is legit or not is the actual color of the resin, the black resin that they use. So I went ahead and backlit it with a camera, what do you call it? A camera light, flashlight. And the black is amber, which is what apparently the Montblanc resin recipe does. It's actually like a really deep amber resin when you backlight it. Maybe that's just a really good replica. It doesn't have a serial code under the clip, but I don't think it would have anyways at this time. The window here is a clear blue. You can't see that right now because it's filled up. It is a piston filler. The nib is so smooth. It's such a beautiful nib to write with. Some really nice flex and spring to it. It's very soft nib. It's a very buttery nib. So I was like, well, maybe that's legit. But then looking at this little logo here on the side, the font doesn't seem to match up with what I've seen on pictures, and the little star or the snow cap, it just doesn't look right. Like there's no way Montblanc would have done such a sloppy job on laser etching in this logo. the font just looks weird. And then, yeah, the little snow peak is incomplete on both sides. I mean, I suppose that could be wear, but if you look at it up close with the jeweler's loop, it looks like it just never was completed. And I just don't see that ever have been a thing with Montblanc, even as a vintage fountain pen. So that has been the biggest concern for me. This here just does not feel quite right. But I don't know. And I've never held a Montblanc in my hands before, like, so I don't know how it's supposed to feel, what it's supposed to feel like. I do know, like, this is a little bit, it's not like a seamless transition from the body main part of the cap to the finial. There's like a little bit of a lip there, but maybe that's normal. The snow peak is a little bit yellowed, but maybe that just comes with a vintage Montblanc. So yeah, I just really don't know. So if any of you guys know, please let me know. I've had this hidden away for so long just because I'm like, I don't know. And also, you know, like I felt like embarrassed with my purchase back then to like buy a pen. I just didn't know anything. Getting into vintage fountain pens is tricky because there's like this whole secret world that I feel like isn't discussed a lot. There's just like a lot of collectors' secrets that aren't really shared. And so when I got into vintage fountain pen collecting, it was really just a jump into the deep end, hoping I would be able to swim. And so this is one of those, I didn't know what I was doing. I kind of knew the word Montblanc, but I didn't know really of its reputation or the prices that it usually sells for. And so yeah, I just didn't know. But I would really love to have like a definite yes or no. This is legit or this is not. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we can figure out this mystery.